Joining us now is Michelle Gelfand, a cultural psychologist at the University of Maryland, College Park. She's the author of Rule Makers, Rule Breakers: How Tight and Loose Cultures Wire Our World. Professor, good evening.
Hi there. Nice to be here again.
Let's remind people of what you mean by a tight or loose culture. Here are some nations that you have classified as either tight or loose cultures. A tight culture might be someplace like Japan, South Korea, China, or Singapore. Loose cultures, places like Brazil, the U.S., the U.K., and Spain. You can see them there on the map. What is the difference between a tight culture and a loose culture as you define it?
Yeah, so all cultures have social norms or unwritten rules for social behavior. You know, we wear clothes when we leave the house. We don't steal food from people's plates at restaurants. And we don't sing loudly and dance in the library, most of us anyway. And we do these things because they help our society function. In a way, social norms are the glue that keep us together, and they have for millennia. But what we know is that some cultures abide by social norms quite strictly. They're what we call tight cultures, and others are loose. They have more relaxed attitudes towards rule breakers. And these differences aren't random. We found that cultures with histories of collective threat, chronic natural disasters, disease, famine, and invasions tend to develop stricter rules to help facilitate order and cohesion. And if you think about it, it makes good evolutionary sense. Following the rules helps us survive chaos and crisis. And on the flip side, looser groups that have, generally speaking, faced fewer chronic threats can afford to be more permissive. And so, you know, really neither tight or loose is necessarily good or bad. Tight cultures have a lot of order and discipline. Loose cultures are the bastions of creativity and tolerance. But the question really is, which cultural code is better suited to a collective threat? And that's really the subject of our research.
So what did your research find in terms of how these different kinds of cultures have dealt with COVID?
So we studied about 57 countries up until mid-October, and we found that loose cultures really struggled with COVID. They had 5 times the number of cases and almost 9 times the number of deaths. Culture is, of course, not the only factor predicting cases and deaths. We also included factors such as wealth and inequality, climate, the age of the population, density, among many other factors. But culture does matter in controlling for these things. But what was really quite astonishing was that even though loose cultures were facing far more threat, they were actually reporting being less fearful of COVID. 70% of people in tight cultures reported being very scared of COVID, and only 50% were scared in loose cultures. And so fear is really important for tightening, but this didn't happen as much in loose cultures. And we can call this kind of an evolutionary mismatch. You know, traits that are really great in some environments, like rule breaking is great for innovation, are really maladaptive in other contexts.
When you say that people reported being less afraid of COVID, that seemed to be one of the problems in the U.S. in terms of people not really seeming to give a damn. I mean, I wonder how we contextualize the way various Americans reacted to COVID in this country, not just in terms of fear, but in terms of even caring, in terms of just having the decency to wear a mask.
Well, I think they're really interconnected. When we feel fear, when we feel the danger, when we get that signal, it naturally produces the willingness to follow rules. Loose cultures have a lot of unrealistic optimism. It's actually a great trait in some contexts, but it's not greatly matched to a pandemic. We also tend to be reactive when people tell us to abide by rules. We're used to having a lot of freedom and a lot of permissiveness. And so we have a kind of reaction. We have more fear of lockdowns and masks than we do of the virus. I want to mention that not all loose cultures miss the signal. I think New Zealand's a great example of an ambidextrous kind of culture. You know, they were famously loose Kiwis. They have a lot of permissiveness in that culture, but they were able to pivot and tighten. And people were willing to sacrifice that kind of freedom for more constraint with, you know, in this case, they really did a great job limiting cases and deaths.
Yeah, between dealing with COVID, the Christchurch shooting, it's credited as one of the reasons why Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern easily won another term as New Zealand's Prime Minister, neither leading a tight nor a loose culture. Maybe we'll call it a snug culture. I don't know. But with regards to China, though, I mean, China is not just a tight culture, it's a repressive culture. And that's made it harder in some ways to fight the pandemic because we still can't get complete information from the Chinese government about what's been going on in Wuhan, what's happened in the markets there, whether scientists from the World Health Organization have gotten proper access to all the data they need. It feels like tightness or looseness can be a blessing in some areas and a real curse in others.
Exactly. I think that's where having both order and openness are really important for cultures as we're trying to navigate collective threat. And we need leadership to help us to be able to do that. I mean, we can actually rise to the occasion with great leadership and with our willingness to follow rules. And to your point, tight cultures really can be very repressive. And we're not saying that cultures become repressive. In fact, we control for authoritarianism in our data. It's not what's driving our effects. We're really looking at people's willingness to sacrifice freedom temporarily. We really want to emphasize that. We really need to really fight this threat by temporarily tightening and then loosening when it's safe. That's kind of the logic behind dealing with pandemics from a cultural point of view.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.